Okay, let me talk about IDUBBBZ because we've actually got 3 separate dramas to discuss tonight, more or less, right? We've got Destiny versus Ludwig, which we kind of just did. We have Mudahar versus Keffels, which I will get into in a bit. But now let's talk a little bit about IDUBBBZ, okay? And I'll give you a little brief rundown. Basically, what happened is that IDUBBBZ has a kind of private podcast that he does for patron members, okay? Of course, everyone more or less knows, I think, that IDUBBBZ has a podcast, a public podcast that he does with his wife called She Ruined My Career, which is a crazy name for a podcast. Yeah, sorry, Maximum Damage right here. So this is IDUBBBZ's like podcast channel. They have this podcast called She Ruined My Career. Basically, it's IDUBBBZ and his wife Anisa. They just chat about their life. I've watched some episodes of this podcast. I will not cap. It's boring. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with my personal opinion. However, recently, people apparently have scalped their Patreon because they have like a bonus kind of podcast that they upload there. And effectively, the drama is that IDUBBBZ and his wife, kind of unfiltered, were talking about the situation with Froggy Fresh and how the commentary community, in a bad faith manner, fucked up the whole of Creator Clash 2, okay? They basically sabotaged Creator Clash 2, and it seemed like they were kind of angling as though, you know, these commentators, plus Sam Hyde's clique, and Froggy, of course, made it so that, you know, the event was a failure and that they didn't actually raise money for charity. Obviously, at the end of the day, IDUBBBZ ended up doing his own charity stream to make up for that fact, right? So they didn't give nothing to charity, but the event itself was not fruitful for the charities, okay? And so I watched the segment that people have been talking about. I agree with the people saying that a lot of it is cope, okay? I'm not really going to play this segment here unless you guys really want it, just because it is, I guess, meant to be a private thing, right? Like it's on their Patreon, whatever. And honestly, I'm just going to be honest. I like IDUBBBZ, and that's not really a cool thing to say anymore, but there's a level of respect that I feel obligated to have for IDUBBBZ, purely out of a sincere understanding of what it's like psychologically to make the kind of videos that IDUBBBZ used to make, right? And what I'm talking about when I say that is like really targeted, you know, offensive and extremely harsh commentary videos that are like a spectacle that, you know, millions of people watch, whatever. Obviously, in my H3 video, which is where I initially gained popularity, I basically, you know, made direct reference to and kind of homaged a decent amount of IDUBBBZ's Leafy Content Cop, okay? I've been very heavily inspired by IDUBBBZ. This is just something I'm never going to lie about, right? And as a result of that, I am somebody who I do feel a degree of, you know, respect is deserved of those who inspire me, right? Now, that doesn't, there's a limit. There is a limit. And again, I'm not going to talk IDUBBBZ or his relationship with his wife. It's his own fucking decisions to make. I don't give a fuck about commentating on this, okay? Even the past coverage I did, the tragedy of IDUBBBZ and Anisa, that was kind of a bait. Like, it was a joke that entire video was me just talking about the Roman Empire. It was me, you know, teaching a lesson on Roman history, which I can do. I can go back to those Roman history lessons if you guys are interested. But IDUBBBZ hates Goka, though. I don't know that he hates me. I don't know that, okay? I don't think he actually thinks about me very much at all, all right? I think, you know, he's not my mentor, all right? He's not, certainly not somebody who I'm looking to now for advice, whatever. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, IDUBBBZ fumbled such a massive fucking opportunity. And I don't say this to shit on him. I really say this in a way where I'm just trying not to cope, right? Because I do respect IDUBBBZ, but I do not want to cope. In my view, he fumbled on such a massive level his influence, okay? What do I mean by that? Do you understand how insane it is? How fucking incredible it is that somebody could upload a commentary video and it get almost 40 million views? Do you get how insane that is? The idea that somebody could upload a video of them giving their opinion, even if it's on some other person, but giving, like, sharing ideas, and 40 million people's ears listen to it. That's insane. And that's like real influence. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, I know there is a bit of a commentary community cope, and not everyone really believes this, but there's a big movement in the commentary community to undermine how much influence we actually have as commentators, whatever. I agree that we don't actually have that much sway, but when you're getting 40 million views, you're absolutely influential, okay? Especially if those 40 million views are based entirely on your fucking opinion, all right? And so I'm somebody who has never gotten nearly 40 million views, okay? Ever, at all, not even close. I barely managed to get millions of views, right? But I have aspirations to hopefully eventually reach these heights that IDUBBZ reached. Now, why do I say that IDUBBZ fumbled it? Hey, everybody kind of understands that he fumbled it, but why do I say that? If IDUBBZ truly cared about the commentary community that he now constantly, digs at, that he constantly kind of, honestly, to an extent, yes, copes about, that he, paints as a villainous, whatever. Again, there's some truth to the idea that the commentary community is extremely antagonistic toward him, that they try to fuck up his life, that they talk too much about his wife. I agree with these criticisms, okay? At the end of the day, that's spectacle, right? If you feed into the people who dislike you, right? If you give them more and more and more and more ammo by continually making snide remarks, you will become, to an extent, like a lolcow, okay? Now, I do not want ever to see IDUBBZ as a lolcow. I don't view him like that. There's potential, whatever, I don't care. What I'm saying is that I genuinely think that if this guy ever cared about the commentary community and about the people he was influencing, right, his viewers, he would not have taken as antagonistic of a stance against his past viewership, okay? This is, I believe, his fundamental error, in my opinion, all right? Again, he can totally dislike the audience that he fostered, which he did foster them, okay? He can totally think they're cringe, losers, whatever. But at the end of the day, what would have been better? Seriously, what would have been better? Him not making a content cop for 4 years? Allowing the community to kind of spiral the fungus to form? And to become whatever toxic bullshit that he complains about? Or him continuing the Content Cop series, but injecting these new kind of, evolutionary fucking ideas or whatever that he has now, right? Like this kind of adding this meta fucking awareness of like, okay, guys, like, come on, like let's not get too focused on the negativity, whatever. Like, there's ways that he could have gone about it that were more creatively fulfilling, much more fucking engaging, like actually willing to make the fucking audience listen. Because, bro, you don't understand. If you were not there, you do not understand the amount of respect that IDUBBZ had in this, commentary community. I have never seen before in my life. Never. Like, it was almost religious, and in hindsight, it was undeserved, like to an extent. Like, it was crazy, okay? Like, okay, let's just put it like this. One of his big claims that I think he regrets the most, like, I think that the thing that IDUBBZ truly regrets the most is his stance on the N-word, okay? Which was, it's either all okay or none of it's okay, okay? And obviously that's not like that deep of a commentary, but the implication in his video is like, it's all okay. Okay, and so nowadays, obviously, his implication is that none of it's okay, right? But like, that's not like that. Like, it's just not a fucking that nuanced of a thing. It's like a very obtuse way of looking at it, right? It's like stripping nuance, whatever. The point that I'm getting at, though, is that at the end of the day, these content cops were truly intense opportunities to relay a message, to send a message, to fucking teach a lesson, whatever the fuck, using the person that he's on as a canvas, right? And he chose, basically, to not learn or not take his audience along with him on the journey to despising his old content, right? And that's fair enough, man. He can do that. Now, why did he turn on his audience, okay? I think that IDUBBBZ is sincere. This is something that a lot of people would disagree with me on, okay? I think he is sincere. I think he actually does regret his past content, okay? Again, I have a semi-unique frame for this as somebody who, you know, has felt whatever you would say, fucking remorse or whatever, guilt over fucking past content. I don't feel it necessarily nowadays, but at the time, right? Look, I'm just gonna be real. Like, IDUBBBZ was like 27 when he made his Tana Mongo video. Imagine going to a 19-year-old's, you know, show or whatever, and saying the N-word to her, and then 35 million people see that, right? His GTA stars were crazy high. That's a crazy thing to do. I remember even thinking, genuinely, I remember all I was thinking was like, that's fucking crazy. That is insane. Like, that's actually insane. But it was massively celebrated at the time, right? Massively celebrated. What happens when, again, he gets deeper in this relationship with his wife now, Anisa, right? And they start to get socialized in these kind of LA influencer spaces, right? With all these Twitch streamers, as we were talking about earlier, kind of like the Hassan verse, right? Because, you know, Hassan has kind of put on IDUBBBZ a little bit. Well, if you're socialized in these circles, you need to conform to the social contract of those circles. And in those circles, slurs are 100% a no-go, no matter context, whatever. Okay, and that's fair enough. But in my opinion, right, I don't give a fuck that IDUBBBZ regrets saying slurs. I feel like people, this gets emphasized too much. No, I don't think anybody really cares that IDUBBBZ stopped saying slurs. It was about his mindset, okay? He basically chose to abandon the community that he helped to form. He was a massive part of creating, in favor of this newer community that was more popular now, right? That had more relevance. And so, while I do think that IDUBBBZ is sincere, I do see why people, you know, think it's a little bit opportunistically, you know, staged. Now, why would I think he's sincere? Because he's lost a lot, okay? And he might not have expected to lose it, but he has absolutely lost a lot for his, you know, his change, his switch up, whatever you would say. And honestly, at the end of the day, what is there to learn from fucking IDUBBBZ? Because I'm always trying to, you know, get something of value out of these situations. I don't really take pleasure in other people's pain, or at least I don't try to. Sometimes I do, but, you know, that's just resentment, right? When you take pleasure in other people's pain, that's cruel, but, you know, there's pleasure to be had in that, okay? That's why you got to be careful yourself, right? You got to be weary of your resentment, because that's when you can really fuck up. If you want to see someone who really fucked up with how much they enjoyed resenting others, just take a look at Leafy, okay? Leafy is a guy who absolutely has always been resentful, but it's only gotten worse as he's gotten addicted to substances, as he lost his platform. Yeah, Leafy is a guy who's driven by resentment in a lot of ways. But anyway, with IDUBBBZ, I don't think he's driven by resentment, but I do absolutely think he, to a degree, resents what has happened to him. You know, the kind of hate that he gets nowadays. I view him as retired, okay? That's how I view IDUBBBZ. I view him as someone who is retired. Even though that's not accurate at all, he is making a lot of content. He's, you know, on these podcasts, he's streaming, right? He is active. He's not trying to retire, I don't think. But in my mind, he's like on that PewDiePie arc, right? Where PewDiePie retired and now he just does videos that he thinks are fun, right? Well, in my mind, IDUBBBZ is kind of doing the same thing. Like, I see these videos and I do not see a guy who is trying to play the game. I view a guy who is kind of retiring.
Salty corn.
And the biggest thing that is unfortunate to me about IDUBBBZ is that I get a sense that he no longer trusts himself. He no longer trusts himself to be funny, which is very crippling. He basically, and this is probably to a degree true, I don't really know, but he basically views it as like, without edgy humor, I'm not funny. That's what he claimed. And I see it to an extent. I do think the guy's funny, okay? But I get what he means. Like, he did lean on that as a bit of a crutch. And number two, I see a guy who doesn't have opinions anymore. He's not that interested in ideas. You know what I mean? I listen to his podcast and I honestly don't hear a guy who, I would expect to be like a thought leader, right? Because that's how I fucking viewed the guy, is he was a thought leader of the commentary community, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's like just so tragic, right? Like, imagine having fucking 30 plus million people who would listen to your fucking videos and you have no ideas. You don't have any philosophies to share. You don't, and I'm not saying he has no philosophies, but you get what I'm saying. It's not, it doesn't seem like a deep thinker nowadays. Maybe he never was. I don't really know, but, yeah, I do wish the best for him. That's the thing, right? And I would love to talk to him. I would love to talk to most of the people that I talk about. I'm not clouded enough, whatever, to talk to most of these people, but, man, I have the opposite problem of IDUBBBZ, okay? I really do. I really do think this. Saplo, loved, respected member of this community, Saplo. He put it really well, I believe, on a comment section. I remember he said, Gokanaru is what no audience does to a motherfucker. I have spent so much time on YouTube not really, like, having viewers, not really, having an audience, like a proper big audience, whatever. Let's be clear. All of you listening right now, I thank you. Like, the fact that I can yap, literal yap, and have 500 people listening, bro, I'm winning. But I did not have this for a long time, okay? And so what did that cause? So when Saplo says, I am what no audience does to a motherfucker, basically what I think he means is that I spent so much time trying to make myself worthy of having an audience, trying to basically, like, earn that viewership through improving my content, right? Like, slowly refining the fucking videos that I make, gaining, like, skills and shit like that. That, like, now I'm amazed by myself. It's kind of fucking weird, okay? I usually don't like yapping. I really don't, because I prefer listening to people. That's true. That is true. If you watch my interviews, you can tell, like, I really like learning from other people. But that's what this is. This is a yap session for me, right? And so, what's weird to me is that I've spent so much time listening, learning, fucking studying, whatever, that now I feel like I have so much to say, bro. Like, it's weird. It's so weird. Like, and you can disagree. You can think I don't have that much to offer, and that's fair enough. But, fuck, man, there's so many things I want to talk about. Like, this used to be my big problem, right? When I popped off for the H3 video, I realized something really humbling. I realized I don't even know what I have to say. I don't have, like, any kind of a path. I don't see a path for myself, whatever. Nowadays, bro, I've spent so long in the gulag, literally and metaphorically, bro, I got too many fucking ideas. I just don't have enough time, right? And so, yeah, all this to say that I think IDUBBBZ had the opposite problem, where it's like, he got so popular so fucking fast. It's really hard to understate how fast he got popular. And I think that he realized, especially after Asian Jake Paul, and especially truly after he started actually interfacing with other people in the world, after he got socialized in more LA circles, which were people who are more socially conscious, right? That's true. That he realized, like, oh, fuck, I got nothing of value to say. You know what I mean? I don't have much to offer. And he basically now seems to be taking the back seat. And the big thing is that I just hope he's learning, right? Like, does that make sense? Like, I hope he actually, at some point, comes back to making opinion-based content, like, truly, right? But yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't, I still wish him the best, bro. Like, I'm not gonna cap. Like, I've never really liked everyone shitting on his wife. I get why it happens, you know what I mean? But it's just tough, because it's like, man, that's my boy, man. I respect that guy, man. You fucking attacking my goat, bro. But it's whatever, it just doesn't even seem like he has fun making content anymore. That's my issue with him. Oh, bro, 100%, bro. I think he does not like making content. I genuinely agree, kind of. I made this joke before, and it's just true. Like a lot of his newer videos are unironically lobotomy core, and I can respect lobotomy core. I can. It's just not what I would have ever expected from IDUBBZ. Okay, but I wish him well, bro. Unironically, I would love to talk to him though. I would love to talk to him because I am not an enemy, Mr. IDUBBZ. But yeah, I got the insane asylum aesthetic. IDUBBZ has the lobotomy aesthetic, which is, post insane asylum, because IDUBBZ used to have the insane asylum aesthetic anyway. What we've got to rail against is the comfy streamer aesthetic, okay? We need to have more, bro, we need to have more streamers doing shit like this, okay? Buy my merch. How about that, dickhead? Go to gokamerch.com.